Hi and welcome to my art channel. My name's Emily and I'm just getting started here on YouTube. Yesterday I was able to buy these alcoholic markers off Facebook Marketplace actually for $25, which I was super happy about. They can get pretty pricey, especially the big packs. These are probably not the best quality, but considering I was just getting started, they were kind of perfect for that. So yeah, let's get into it. So I started out this piece with just a quick sketch with a 2H pencil. The reference picture I'm looking at is of a baby deer sniffing some flowers. So yeah, I'm just going to go in with the 2H pencil and make some landmarks. I was really excited to get into the alcoholic markers, but I can be impatient sometimes, so I wanted to make sure that I had like a good base before I jumped into it. So I'm really trying to force myself to take my time with this sketch, which can be really difficult for me because I really wanted to see the pretty colors that I was going to find in the new pack I got. So this is the final kind of rough sketch, and once I was happy enough with it, I decided to go in with the Prismacolor red, just to make sure that my landmarks were well enough known that I could lift some of the 2H without losing the sketch entirely. This whole time I'm kind of trying to make sure I remember that alcoholic markers aren't really, they're a different medium than I'm used to. And I've been really trying to focus on like simplifying my planes, which is really important with alcoholic markers because you kind of have to, there's not really much blending you can do, and you kind of have to decide like where your planes are going to be like before you start adding color. So I'm kind of trying to think about that as I work through the sketch and kind of decide just where I want my lines to be and kind of like tie them off so that it's a little less confusing once I actually get to the alcoholic markers. So now I'm just lifting some of that Prismacolor and any kind of leftover unnecessary graphite that I have on the page. Alright, now that I'm happy with the base sketch, I'm gonna finally let myself get into the alcoholic markers. Before I used any of them, I was testing them on a piece of paper because I discovered very quickly that the colors that they had on the caps were usually a lot darker or just completely off from the colors that they were advertising to be. The first color I went with was like super light and warm. It was like the lightest I could find that was kind of not cool. I'm pretty hesitant to get into it because I'm really afraid to go too dark too fast. My first mistake was, as I thought it was going to be, it's going with a color that was just way too saturated too fast. This yellow I thought was going to be a little lighter than it was on paper, but that's just part of the learning experience, you know, because this is really like what it is. It's a learning experience, since this is my first time using the medium. I was really chomping at the bit to define like the face region. I just find that makes such a big difference for this specific picture. Right after that, I further kind of muddled things up with the orange and the purple. Not super happy about it at this point. Everything was just becoming way too contrasty. There's too much going on. And at this point, I was just trying to find a way to kind of dampen everything down without kind of ruining the paper, because obviously with these markers, you kind of need to, you know, be aware of how many times you're using it over one spot, because you don't want to like literally like rip a hole through the paper. At this point, I'm just doing everything I can to try to kind of bring everything down to a level that I can work with. I have this horrible habit with art where I just kind of give up as soon as it kind of doesn't look right. And you know, I see so many artists where they are constantly talking about trusting the process and just working through the harder, tougher parts of the drawing, especially in the initial stages. And I always have that kind of, that like devil on my shoulder, like telling me to just restart. And I find I'm trying harder, like more and more as I kind of get older to just like not listen to that voice, because it can be so detrimental to kind of learning and the progress you make as an artist and getting better if you're not trying to push through, you know, the parts that are tough. Not everything has to look good. Sometimes it's just the experience of making it that's worth something. And it's just so, it's an integral part of like learning and growing as an artist. And yeah, I'm really trying to tell myself that these days, because I want to get better, and you kind of have to be working in areas that you're not super confident in order to kind of expand the areas that you are comfortable in. So at this point, my phone decided I wasn't allowed to film anything else. It ran out of storage, which is typical. So I had to kind of do a little skip in this video. I was kind of going crazy with the markers, to be honest. At this point, I had kind of decided that the actual marker part wasn't going to be the part that saved this project, but I didn't want to give up on it too fast or yet. So I decided I was going to go over everything with colored pencil and then kind of refine everything, bring out the highlights with some acrylic markers that I have, that I just got at the dollar store actually. When I started with the pencil crayons on the like previously markered spots, I was so happy to find that it actually took really well. It made it a lot easier to kind of bring back some of the shapes and stuff that I wanted on the deer. I wasn't too worried about the background. Really, it was just the deer that I liked in this picture. Then, once I added the acrylic markers that I had, it really started to come to life a little bit. The spots really made everything a lot better. It actually ended up being a piece that I felt like I was able to kind of salvage a little bit after I muddied everything up. It was so fun to be able to play with the markers that I got. I've been thinking about getting these for so long, so it was really great that I actually finally was able to play around with them. shots on the deer was so fun. It was like such a nice final touch. All in all, the piece was a little bit more abstracted than I would have wanted. Nevertheless, I had a great time filming this, and I'm hoping that whoever watched this to the end also had a good time. In the future, I'd really like to do more of these little like art chats. And I apologize for all of the issues with my phone and all the, the cut out spots of this video. I'm hoping one day I can get in a real camera to film these. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much and have a great day.